Hey guys, welcome back. So in our last lecture, we have seen how to data drive or declare parameter in TestNG XML file under sud and also test or module name. Now in this lecture, we're going to see how you can declare parameter in a class level for a specific method. Okay, to do this, we have to know another annotation from the TestNG is called data provider annotation. So it marks a method as supplying data for a test method. The annotation method must return an object, two-dimensional object, where each object can be assigned the parameter list of the test method. The @test method that wants to receive those data from this data provider needs to use a data provider name equals to the name of this annotation. Okay, this is something we need to understand. That's like, to do this, we're going to use @data provider annotation, and this annotation actually supply the data, whatever the sets of data, multi-sets of data, using a object of two-dimensional array, and every dimensional array will pass a data, and the method, the testing method, will receive those data. Over there we're going to use data provider, like this data provider. This is the attribute, this is the annotation, and this is the attribute that we're going to use in the method that needs to receive those data. You can see the name of the data provider for this test method. So this data provider, this is the attribute or TestNG annotation helper. Okay, so this is the couple of things we need to put a focus that we're going to use in our example. Let's get back to our Eclipse. So this is the XML file that we use in our last example. You can see in its under sud level, we declare parameters over here, multiple parameters. We declared also under a module level. You can see now, we're saying that, we have a class like demo 1, demo 3, or demo 2. If you need to declare or drive data, it's number of sets of data for a specific method in any one of the class level, how we can do so. That's the the concept is called data provider annotation. It can help us. So let's go to over here in our class. You can see this test our package over there. I already created one class for this example. It's called, you can see, data provider demo class. Okay, so in this class I created two test method, two method. You can see web login, just simply test to validate web login, and the mobile login, test to validate mobile login. Okay, let's make this two class as our test cases. Okay, let's make this our test cases. To do this, we can say we just add the test annotation, right? Our mouse, import the package. Okay, import TestNG annotation package. Good. Do the same thing over here @test. So right, test annotation. Okay, so now these two test cases both are considered as a test case, right? This method. Now if I assume that in a web login, in this test case, this is a login function, we need to drive data 3 sets of username, password. Assume that maybe it's nowadays you can your login function can take a regular login username, password, can take also login authentication from social media. So different number of way you can test your login function. So for to make it simple, we'll drive data, we'll declare 3 sets of data for this function, and then we'll drive those data and apply in this function during our runtime or during our execution. To do this, first of all, we have to set the data first. Like, what would be the 3 sets of data? To do this, we're going to use a data provider. So in the same class, you can see I'm declaring the same class. So let's use @. So I'm going to use data provider annotation. Data provider annotation. Okay, hover your mouse. Data provider. Data provider should be okay. Let's see. So data provider, we have seen that this is the annotation that we use that's help us, this annotation, to declare multiple sets of data following the multi-layer, following the two-dimensional arrow object. So we're going to underneath, so we're going to create a method. Let's create a method. It's called public, say I'll say test data. So this method will help us to declare number of sets of data. So I would say test data, and then this is the method body. Okay, and then here we'll say, and it should be, we know this as soon as you use data provider, okay, and then we have to use the return type would be, it should be, this method should be, return type should be object of two-dimensional array. So object of two-dimensional array. So two-dimensional array, right? So object of two-dimensional array. So object is a class, special class, and it can accept any type of data. That's why they use object. And two-dimensional, this is your row, first arrow is the row, and this is your column. It represents your column. What would be the combination of, like, if we say that we'll have 3 sets of data, so this is the row, and the column would be like, one column would be for username, another column would be for the password. Okay, so this is the and let's see now. Here we're going to, let me see that why is the data provider. You can see now it's showing import. So import, make sure data provider annotation package. Okay, now it's gone. And now here you can see let's see, it's an add return statement. Okay, change return type to void. Okay, we'll change it. We're not changing return type because we haven't add the return type. That's why it's showing error. It's fine. Let's see now. Let's create an object of this. Now we're going to create an object of this class, so that we can initialize this array. Okay, so to create an object of a class, of object class, so we'll say new. That in Java we can use new. So this is the okay, create an object, and then let's put this one, it's, I would say TD is a test data, it's an object reference, and the return type would be same, right? So return type would be same, and here we're going to initialize. So we say that we're going to create 3 sets of data. So 3 sets of data, it's like we needed 3 row. So for this because it's a multi-dimensional array. This is represent for the row, as I said. This is represent for column. So 3, and your column would be 2, because one column would be for username, another column would be for the password. Okay, and after that, okay, let's good. So how this can work, let me explain you. Let me go to our here. Okay, so here is assume that this is your multi-dimensional array. Okay, this is your multi-dimensional array, 3 row and 2 column. Okay, and both are all an integer. Assume that, but in our exercise will be a string, but I'm just explaining you. So here you can say those are the value, like this is the first set, since the 2 column, this is the first set, and this is the second set, and this is the third set. And behind the scene, if you declare a 2-dimensional array, behind the scene in your Java heap memory, this is the way it's create a location, or create a location to store all of your data. So here is a row. The first row, that's like in array, it's followed indexing, which is your for your row and for your row and the column. So here is your first row, is a 0th row. The index is started with the 0, right? You know it, right? So 0th row, first row, second row. So it's a 3 row. So this is the 3. This is represent this, right? And the column 0th row and 1 column. This is represent your column, right? And now your value. So 0th row, 0th column. In the 0th row, 0th column, your value would be 1. And 0th row, your 1 column value would be 2 as per this. And 1 column, 0th row value would be 5. And the next one is 7. And the second row, 0th column, this is the 10. And second row, first column, it's 20. Okay. So every time you want to retrieve any data, assume like you want to retrieve data, first data 1, from this array. So you have to use as a reference like your row and what's the value of the row and the column. Then row intersection of row and column, you can retrieve the value for that location, that in a cell. So if I say a of 0, then 0, so it means we'll get the result is 1, right? A of, say, we say 0 1, so 0 1 will get the result is 2. So this is the way you will have to retrieve the data. We can retrieve the data using a reference, indexing reference of your row and column number, then it will get the data. Okay, I hope that is clear. This is the two-dimensional array, how it works. Let's get back to our exercise now. So just visualize that 3 row 2 column, and over here we're going to assign string value instead of integer, because we're going to assign a username and password, right? So in that case, now we are going to have to initialize that. We declare the initialize the row and column number. Now we have to initialize the actual value. So what would be the actual value? So value would be say this is for first row. Okay, first, or you can say first row, or first sets of data. First row, it means first set of data. First sets of data. Okay, first sets of data. So for the first row, so we're going to use object reference td. Okay, we'll use td, and then we're going to use the row, right? So the first one is 0th row, 0th column. So 0th row, if you notice that, come back here, the first one is 0th row, 0th column. Then there will be some value. 0th row, 1 column, first column, so it will be value, right? So 0th row, so data, so for 0th row and the 0th column, okay, the data would be equals to, we're going to say, so 0th row, 0th column, so 0th row, 0th column, so this is the value. So we said, for your first column, it's represent username. Okay, username, assume that we're going to assign username over here. And the 0th row, first column, it means your second column. In this column, we're going to put password or all password sets. Okay, passwords. Okay, so first column will assign username and second column will assign password. Okay, so here 0th row, 0th column, which is the first column. Okay, first row, first column. So we'll say, let's enter some value, initialize the value. We'll say first set name. Okay, and then the next one would be 0th row, first column. So this is the first, you can not the first row. We'll say first sets of data. So first sets of data, it means your 0th row. It would be the 0th row. So 0th row, which is the first sets of data. So 0th row, in a 0th row, 0, this is the first 0th row, 0th column, 0th row, first column. So we'll, for column number 1, which is the second column, it means we have to enter our password. Well, that's what we said, right? So we'll say first set column, first set password. Okay. And then similarly, next one would be the second row. Second row, which is the, let's copy that. Let's put it over here. So this is the second row, would be the, the first, second row is the first row, right? Second row is this is the row, right? So here it's a 1th row, 0th column, 1th row, 1th column. So it would be the second sets of, this would be the second sets of data. Second sets of data. So we'll say over here, second set, and we'll say also name and second set password. Second set password. Similarly, the last one, third row, which is nothing is second row, right? Since we started 0, right? The index number started at 0, right? So over here would be second, 2th row, 0th column, 2th row, 1st column. So 0th column, it's about the username, right? So I would say third set name, and then I would say third set password. Third set password. Okay. So this is not a real username password. So just I'm giving, so that to make our example easy. So now it's set up. We initialize, all different three sets of data, testing data in this object, multi-dimensional object, right? And then at the end, you have to return what? Return is object reference. So what's the object reference? The TD. TD is the object reference. So TD will have the value. TD will have all the value, all sets of value, right? TD will have all sets of value. Make sure you do the indentation. It's fine. This is not, I'm doing just an example over here. So, okay. So return is TD. So now it's TD have the knowledge about all three sets of, username and password. Now these all three sets of password, I want to apply in this method, in this test method. To apply, or to drive those data to over here, we have to use over here a attribute like annotation helper attribute, which is called, nothing is called data provider. Again, so that's why, beside your test annotation, so we have to say over here, we have to say data provider. So you can notice that over here, data provider is started lowercase. This is the helper attribute, and here this is the attribute this is the actual annotation. So annotation, it's a help you to declare two-dimensional object class so that you can initialize or declare multiple sets of data. And this data provider helper attribute help you to drive the data from this data provider relevant method. Okay, I hope that is clear. So over here we'll say data provider. So we're saying we're giving a reference, data provider. What's the name of the data provider? We have to pass over here data provider name. So equals to, you have to say the name of the data provider. So data provider name method, this is the method test data. Let's pass over here test data. Okay, now this method have the knowledge about this test data objects or method, or three sets of methods that we declare over here. Now here we need to now it has two column, right? Two column, one is a username or a name, another one is a password for every row. So for every row we have two columns. So for each column, for each data, we have to pass a similar variable over here so that we can pass those data to our method. So over here we have to declare similar number of variable or you can say argument over here in our method. So for the first one is name, for the first one is name, second one is the password. For the on both of them is string. So we have to declare two variable. For the first one name, so return type is string, and then say it's representing the name, right? Username, first name, you can say second name, it's a third name, all are name. So let's give it variable name, it's called username. Okay, username. And the second one is also represent, it's a password, but it's string type. So a string, return type would be string, and then let's say give a name pass or password. Okay, so this username will get all the actual value replace actual value from this first column value, which is first set name, second set name, and the third set. And similarly, this password will get the replace by the actual value of the second column, which is the password. First this one, and this one. Now if we just pass those variable to our method will have the actual data, and we can use over here. Okay, so in real life, you will have a username, password, you will have the login functionality that you have to locate that username, and then you can pass this variable, and then again you will locate the password field, like driver.find element, and then you will pass this variable. It will enter those data one after another in real life. But here we're going to just print, we're going to print, if we print the username and the password, we're supposed to see all these three sets of data in our console, right? So that's it's a validation, one type of testing too. So let's see, we can say let's say we're going to say over here sys out, say let's pass the username, and then we'll say sys out, and then same password. So new variable that we declare with our method, because this variable will get the data from where, from this test data method, and then this will represent the first column, and this will represent the second column. Okay, save it. I think that should be good. Okay, let me run as TestNG. Let's open this. Here we go. Before we see this up here results, let's go to the console. You can see there is a total test run 4 pass 4 of them. Yes, okay, I see. Yeah, default test, you can see there's a 2 report over here. So default test is a total 2, and no failure, no escape. So default test, it means over here we have an actual 2 tests, right? This is the one, the web login and mobile, that's the what's actual. But here it's saying that 4, because here for this test, the web login, we pass 3 sets of, it's run 3 times plus that's original one, which is a 4. That's why it shows over here also, over here test run 4. Let's see the output. You can see, let me put over here. So first is it's we didn't set any priority, so that's why mobile get run first. Mobile is follow the alphabetical order for the method name, like mobile is got execute first. So test to validate mobile login, so test to validate mobile login, then it went through the web login, so it's print this one, it prints test to validate web login, and then it's get the data from the test data method, username and password, first sets of username, you can see first set name, first set password. Okay, and then again it went through the again for this method again it's execute this line first, because this line is the first, and then we use this variable, right? So again test to validate web login, and then second sets of username password, again test to validate web login, then the third sets of username and password. Okay, and then it says in pass. So you can see web login got execute 3 times, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and every times this is the username and password got replaced by the column value from this test data method, which is the first name, your name and password. You can see for the first time is the first name and first password. So the second time it's a second name, a second sets of name and second sets of password, and third sets of name and the third sets of password for the third time. Okay, so this is the way you can use data provider annotation to declare initialization multiple sets of data in your class level, a specific class level, and that can be drive the data and pass to a specific test method, and that can be do the validation for that test method. That's all for the data provider annotation using in a class level, or this is called also data driven testing. Thank you.